right, Chris, here we are for another movie review. Today we're talking about The Nest 2021.
Quite an original name they got going on there.
Oh my. I do think it's funny that movies repeatedly will choose a movie's name that already exists without a little tweak. I think it only hurts you because if you are the best one, okay,
Yeah.
you're in good tanks. It's going to be like, okay, I will pop up first. But when you are The Nest 2021 and there is a The Nest 2020, a famous foreign film, The Nest, there are other
Yes.
movies called The Nest, you're already at a disadvantage because when you start to say, oh, just that movie, people say yeah, and they may not have seen the one you're talking about. What's this one about, Chris?
What is it about? All right, let's see here. You put me on the spot.
I like doing that because then it gets me the
no,
most
Jesus
genuine response.
So it is a body snatchers-esque type movie line where you have a young girl who picks up a bear at a yard sale, and the bear may or may not have some sort of bug creature inside.
Parasite, maybe?
Parasite inside, and the movie revolves around this young girl and her parents who are struggling in this dramatic relationship with
Very dramatic.
some history of drug abuse, as well as this young child seems to be struggling with anxiety and depression, which she's very young. She's like 8 or 9 years old.
Which you can expect from being raised in a household that had, this kind of an issue. But I think all of that was handled decently well. I think the acting in this movie was pretty good. This young girl, what do we think? She's like 10, maybe?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's the director's daughter. I believe I saw that mentioned somewhere. Yeah,
Nepotism.
no.
But
And
good.
then, yeah, some hijinks ensue with some insects, and we should mention that Dee Wallace makes, I don't know, a little bit of an appearance in this movie. She's a notable actress, obviously.
Yeah. So what did you think in like the non-spoiler aspect of this review? You give it a thumbs up, thumbs down?
It's not bad. Like it's decently made. It's obviously low budget. I think the sound design's pretty weak a lot of times, and the writing here, I get what they're trying to go for. I think what they're trying to go for, at least, with like this metaphor of drug abuse and then like this parasitic insect type thing with addiction and this inner monster coming out, blah 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 blah. It's a very dramatic movie, and every scene is heavy with drama.
Very
it's so
heavy, dripping.
Emotionally heavy. Yeah, and it doesn't feel dramatic when everything feels samey, if that makes sense. So while emotions are high, when emotions are always high, it's like, I don't know. It doesn't have the impact then I don't think that they're going for.
Yeah, the emotions are high, but the tone is kind of stagnant.
Yes.
We're kind of on one level almost the whole film. I think this is kind of like a dime store version of The Faculty. Like it's on like a much smaller scale in every way, and like that can be good. Like it's not to say that this is ripping that movie off in any way. It is just a similar enough premise that if you were to be like, hey, I want to make this movie and have the script for The Faculty, you're like, I don't have the budget for that. Let's tone it down and make it so it only takes place in a very small confined area affecting a family instead of a whole high school. Oh, okay. I think we could probably do it on our budget, and we'd make this movie, and there you are. And I do like that. They do have somewhat of a CG budget here for our bad guy in quotes. So there are some interesting concepts to be had here. Some fun visuals. At times, I think this looks like a very higher budget movie. Like they can fool you at certain aspects where you're like, oh, I wouldn't be able to tell what the budget of this movie was. This has like a certain quality to it. But then at certain scenes, I think it drops and it looks more like a sci-fi original movie.
Well, I mean, this director, James Suttles, this is his 6th movie, and I think all he's made, at least listed on IMDb, are features. But he also has like 21 cinematography credits, so I'm guessing he was also probably the camera guy on this. And there's some camera skill being shown in this movie.
Oh, definitely.
So
I think the lighting, or it might even be the setting in certain areas, really drop it down a notch or two. But like in other scenes, which I don't want to spoil too much here, but like the ending of this film, there's some pretty interesting and this is an early on bit in the film where like this to me there's something about it, and it might be the effects or the explanation or how we lead into it or this young child's face, but that gives me the more like what I would flip onto on Saturday night on Sci-Fi Channel vibe.
Yes. I mean, the bug possession effect. Unfortunately,
Let's say we're in spoilers now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
Well, it's not even really. I mean, the cover of the movie, like I was trying to pull up the cover of the movie just to show you because it already gives away.
It's like a sea of like roaches with
and it's cool looking,
face.
and so does the trailer. Like that's not the original concept here. It's like where the movie goes is the potential for originality, I think. But the effect they're going for, where you're supposed to be possessed by something, unfortunately, just comes off as cheesy.
Well, it's the aspect that they do it with. It almost because if let's think like scientifically about this. If a bug,
as we do, we
are known to be scholars in science.
I do have an associate's degree in graphic design. I'll have you know.
There you go. The movie posits a world where there's these bugs that can take over your body, and how a bug would take over your body, you would assume that somehow it latches onto you and it would be kind of in a fixed position on like your nervous system or your brain or something, but then it is kind of just roaming around in your body like you are like a vessel, like the little aliens in Men in Black, like it's just riding you around, because they pop up out of the mouth like they're in the, like the
like randomly
the expensive seats or whatever. Like just like looking out, and like they chirp to each other like and I'm like, okay, so like they are just along for the ride. So the moment they are not attached to like the brain stem or whatever they're doing to like, puppeteer these people, puppet master, it kind of reminds me of a low budget Puppet Master also. But when they're not doing that like, whatever it is that makes them take your body over, how are they roaming about, and why don't you gain consciousness again? It also feels like they never actually take over your full psyche, because the daughter seems reluctant to do things. The dad like recalls memories about her being a junkie. He even slaps her in one dramatic moment.
It's very confusing to me. I even questioned to you because I like got up and went to the bathroom or something, and I just like I feel like you're supposed to intuit a lot of things, because they don't want to show you or are unable to show you or something. But you're right. It's like, wait, I'm not sure how much influence this creature is having, whether it's having 100% influence or a little bit, but it makes the story cloudy, and not in like a good way, in like an ambiguous way, but in like a confusing way.
It's almost like a not funny version of like the Meet the Applegates in like their approach to taking over things.
Yeah.
So like if you are a sentient bug that takes over people's bodies and can spread the ability to do so by force, because at times it does just kind of hold like this guy, just gets like held down and taken over.
Yeah.
You wonder why they're doing it in this slow road way. Like, why the gaslighting of the mom? Why make her feel like she's crazy and all this jazz if you're ultimately just going to take her over? And I wasn't sure if there had to be something different because they were trying to make a new queen or whatever, because he does sleep with the mother in the most bizarre. So we've watched a lot of B movies recently.
Hottest thing I've seen all day.
In like all the movies that we have one-on-one reviewed in the last couple of weeks, there's not been a sex scene in any of them, and that's been strange for B movies, because usually they lean into that kind of stuff. They're trying to get that TNA money, and this is the only one, and it's I'll say tastefully done, where nothing is seen, but it's such a strange move to have the door open the whole time. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You have a young child.
They keep bringing it up like he wants it to be open, which is weird. But you're right. Like, this is one of these movies where we're like, give me the schlock, but you never do. Instead, you're giving me extremely serious drama on a very low budget.
Drama's the way of 2021, it seems.
I don't know what it's about. Like, I mean, this is a slow-paced movie too. I was bored. I don't know about you. I got bored.
It's a bit of a slow burn to not have any, like, there's not really that. If there would have been a crazy action sequence at the end where like, all these people have been taken over and she's trying to run from them and do something, because it kind of just peters, and you're like, oh, it ended like that. Okay.
I can get in. Like, I like a more thoughtful movie generally. I'm a big psychological horror fan, so I like a very thoughtful, movie, and I'm good with a slow burn. It's just when there's.
But I need a ramp. I need there to be I need some elevation points in a plot.
Like we mentioned with the drama, like it's heavy scenes. Everything's heavy. Everybody's always at each other's throats in some way, or, depressed. But so there's no ramp with the character drama really. But then also, there's no payoffs, because every time there'll be a moment of a payoff, you get like a hint of seeing something, and then what you want to see cuts away because I probably budgetary.
And those things I'm fine with, because I understand. I would rather. There's two extremes. There's when it's so bad that I'm like, oh no, you had to show that. Like, we're like, oh, you didn't have that, but you filmed it, and it's great for a different reason. But then there's the, like, I can respect, oh, we couldn't film that, it's to your imagination, we got this. It's just I hate dream sequence things, and like there's a couple of those in this movie.
It feels like filler, yeah.
I've never liked those. Not a fan. I hate, especially when they're prolific or not prolific.
They're supposed to like
prophetic dreams.
I think they're supposed to give you a glimpse into the character's mind or their thoughts, and pull story elements out of there.
But the fact that she gets like black gooed while she's in her winter wonderland, and then the black goo is in the garage, I'm like, okay, it's like you're like, too on the nosing things.
What can we add to the script to make it a little bit longer? What it feels like.
But it feels like there were areas, if you needed to pad this and make it longer, you very easily could have. So like the very thing that starts this is they pick up that doll and the daughter gets attacked, and you yourself were like, did she die? I thought she was dead.
They don't make it clear. Like,
well, they just pick up to the next scene. Right here, you can see this teddy bear is covered in goo from where this thing burst out of his chest. In the next scene, the teddy bear is still there. It's totally fine, and the daughter is fine. And I'm like, oh, that must be in the future, and we're gonna backfill what led us to that moment. But no, that's not it. And no, she's not dead. And no, they don't mention it at all. It picks up with, she keeps saying she's got a tummy ache, and I'm like, she was blood around the mouth, passed out in the woods. We should be at the hospital.
That's the stuff that is hard to forgive. They keep going to the school counselor instead of like taking their kid one to the doctor because of her tummy ache. Like, okay, yes, anxiety and depression and all that stuff can manifest in physical ways.
Let's rule everything else out too.
Let's rule out the other stuff. And for two, if my school counselor is like, you need to put your kids on drugs and blah, like, I'm gonna go to a
real doctor. Not to say that a high school, or not high school, a young psychologist in a school is not a real person. But you're a guidance counselor, bro. Like, I want to hear somebody that's got like a couple of doctorates or some shit.
Yeah, I would just think like it's not natural for a school counselor to. I don't think, anyways. Maybe it is. It seems out of character, because what they would be taking on is a lot of liability. It seems like for the school district. I think they would say, we recommend you see a physician or something about this. They wouldn't recommend you go on a. You know what I mean? Like, it's a step beyond reality, I think.
Well, I think in general, I don't think they even do one-on-ones in their office like that alone. Like, I don't think you'd end up with a dude and a girl in a closed-door room. In all my experience with it, it was like we had like group things where they'd pull all you a bunch of like at lunch like with the guidance counselor, or if you were there alone, the door was always open.
Yeah, I'm
in
sure
like
the door
a guidance
would be open.
office.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have the ability for this alien interaction with stuff. Back to these bugs, like, we don't explain what they are. We don't know where they're from. They don't die either. We don't get a payoff of what the first explanation was for the first family. We don't get enough of what I would like to know. So when it ends, you're just left to your own devices for what happened.
So I kind of like some of the ending in a way that it does, I think, go back to the heart of the storyline, which is about the mom having her history of drug abuse, and a way she feels guilty for, I think, at least, she feels guilty for what this kid has all this anxiety, right?
Yeah, she ruined her life.
She's ruined her life, or that's what she thinks. So her character wants to be a better mom and wants to provide for this kid and make everything better. And in the end, she becomes the mom the kid needs in some twisted way, because she becomes the new queen for these parasites.
I think my bigger issue was the yard sale aspect. So, like, if you are an alien being or a bug that's been yet to be discovered, it's weird that your go-to method of spreading is through yard sales and not just, like, I don't know, throwing teddy bears in every lawn of America, or why they're even teddy bears.
I don't know
why is there a teddy bear thrown with all these things? Like, it's creepy, and I will admit that, having like this room of teddy bears and a small child like crawling out of an alcove over all this crap, I'm like, yeah, that's creepy. But let's explain that. What is the reason here? What's the rationale? Like, even the teddy bear's stomach like bubbling with the bug inside it, I'm like, it's a bug. What would make it do that? So like run back and forth in there, hitting the sides?
Do you think the bug, the belly coming from the belly, like that was supposed to parallel the mom, because at one point we see like a scar from what clearly is like a cesarean surgery.
And you're
So-
saying the burst is vaguely vagina-esque?
Well, no, I mean like she birthed out the kid from her stomach, and then this bear births out the insects from its.
I don't. Well,
I don't-
while
I
I'll
feel
say
like
that could
that's
certainly
like-
be said by a director, I would compare that to like when you're watching or when you're reading a book and something's red, and you're should be like, "Oh, that's red because of the blood of the Indians." And I'm like, I think it's just a red shirt. Like,
No, but yes, I agree on surface. Like just watching the movie, like, all right, who gives a fuck? But I think that's kind of what they were going for in some way. At least, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the writing here has ideas that are interesting. I don't think the dialogue is written particularly well. People sound unnatural to me, so it hinders the performances because I don't think the acting is that bad.
yeah, the dad, I liked half of what he said. I was like, I really like this guy, and the other half I said it was just the words felt wrong in his mouth.
Yes.
And like when he. And in part of it's, I guess he is possessed at times, and it's unclear how much of that is like, oh, is this the buried things you would never say are being said now? Like is this you have no filter on what your speech is? Because
Right.
calling her like like a junkie whore and like slapping the wife after
So-
slapping the daughter, I was like, oh, this is a little extreme. Okay.
That is also really that really hurts the story that we never really see the mom being a junkie.
Yes.
Because you want me to buy into something that you've never shown me, and the mom doesn't junkies
Doesn't come
can be
across
anything,
as a
but she
junkie,
doesn't
no.
come across as a junkie at all. So that never sold that for me. But
She looks like the mix of Ali Larder and like somebody else,
yeah, she looks like I don't know. I mean, I don't
like
know.
a normal actress,
like a
not-
normal, yeah.
She's not emaciated. She doesn't have like scars or track marks.
No.
She doesn't look like someone you wouldn't trust. She looks like someone that run the
She doesn't
PTA.
talk like somebody who had this.
No,
you know.
isn't she what is she, a teacher? What is her job?
Yeah,
it was like
she
something
se-
where I'm like, that's not a junkie's job.
She seems like a helicopter mom, if anything. She's like
Mm-hmm.
PTA, minivan driving. Like that's what she seems
Yeah.
like. But there is a scene in this movie that I think worked really well. And sorry, something's itching my nose. Jesus Christ. Anyways, there's insects up there. Where she goes to meet the kid at school because there was an incident, and she tries
Mm-hmm.
to get the kid to go back into class.
Yeah.
That scene was reality because I've
Oh, yeah.
been there many times, and the acting was good, and the kid's performance was good because it was like, intentionally it was annoying as an
The
adult.
kid was
Like,
MVP of the movie, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So hearing that it's the director's kid is honestly surprising because of how talented this child was. Not that you can't be talented and be a director's kid, but usually the director's kid gets in the role and you're like, oh, got
Yeah.
the job because he's a director's kid. But this, I'm like, nah, this kid became an actor, and the director's like, I should probably become a movie star or a movie maker so I can get this kid a window into this.
Yeah, no, I thought she was great. It's not a bad movie. I don't think it's bad. I mean, we're in spoilers, so
Of course.
you learn the parasitic thing. It's pretty obvious, within the first 15 minutes of the movie, right?
Mhm.
And you're like, where is this gonna ultimately go? Because they tease it within the first 5 minutes, like showing this creature thing up in the attic, right at the place where they pick up the toy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Like that intrigues you, but also kind of gives away everything, right?
Well, you're waiting to figure out more about that. So, like, how many colonies can there be at any given
Yeah.
time without this spreading ridiculously fast? And eventually, it seems like it's a small town. You get that vibe. You're like, how many yard sales could there be before you just get everyone who goes to yard sales?
Right.
Like at a certain point,
And
I'd like to see them
oops.
mailing them and just sending them out, doing things.
And it doesn't seem like the process takes that long. Like they literally, he does it to the guy in the office. So like you could faculty everyone really quickly.
That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
think it was only restricted based on the budget. You could have easily, taken that whole school. If she would have done this, got the school nurse and like, okay, we're doing hearing checks, and it's bam, got him. Send him
Right.
home with the kids. Got him. And just take the whole town over pretty quickly.
So then, because of the confusing nature of the way the characters interplay with each other, even though we know or think they're possessed, and it doesn't feel like we're going anywhere. Like the third act or the second act, I guess, where they start like gaslighting the mom for whatever reason, just
It doesn't make any sense to why. Yeah,
Makes
exactly.
no
It's just to
sense.
make a movie. And the gaslighting part is interesting. Like if I just came across this movie without seeing the beginning part and we were writing that part, I'd be like, "What is this?"
What's going
and I
on?
would be,
Yeah.
I would be totally surprised when the bug came out of the thing. Like if that was if the movie opened there and then went, like if that was a like 7 minute, like one of those long intro sequences for a movie, and then the movie starts like with the credits and it's totally something different,
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Oh man, you have hooked me. That was a really effective way."
Agreed.
I don't think that this started out with the bang that it could have, because the concept is fun. Like, while it's not completely original, it's also enough niche that you can have some fun with it.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, during that second act where it goes that way, I thought, okay, maybe the reveal at the end is going to be something unexpected and different than we're just, taking over everybody. But it's not. That's the problem.
No.
It's just
This
like
same
putters
movie,
out.
but the main character is the school psychologist, would have been very interesting. So like kids are coming in, they're really weird, everyone's having complaints, there's like, violence, his workload is doubled, there's so much to deal with, and things are coming in. I think that could have been a fun movie. And the first time the parent interacted with him and the thing comes out and he kills it with like a letter opener or something, and he's like, what the hell's happening here? And he's noticing things, trying to get other people that aren't affected. He gets a small band together, but one of them is infected, he doesn't know. Oh, it could be great.
See, the thing of it is like you don't have the budget to show the insect murders, but you do imply that people are possessed. So just show some fucking murders from people.
Joe, yeah, straight up slasher style murders.
The dad grabs a fucking thing and kills the counselor. Stuff like that.
Well, and you could even make it a thing, like they could be riding these bodies. Maybe they don't even have to be alive. It could be you straight up murder somebody and the bug puppeteers their nervous system and moves them. Like, who knows how this is working?
Egger suit style.
Yeah, exactly. And you almost get that where there's like the little things coming out of the mouth at one point when like that bully's like, what the fuck is that?
So I thought I saw that the budget was $90,000.
That's actually surprisingly large.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I would have thought less.
And I think it was like a passed off comment on, budget. Budget says it says $89,000 on IMDb. And then, there was a bunch of reviews on there like, you make a movie for $89,000.
I can make 6 movies for $89,000.
That's nowadays, yeah. So you get Dee Wallace in there. But like there's nothing that isn't doable here. Like,
no, like
with $90,000.
And your CG is not used crazily. Dee Wallace, how does she even get turned? Did I blink and miss that, or did we just come back in and she got turned already?
I thought she always was, but I wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I love the first scene we have with her, and she's like the babysitter, and the daughter's like, "Fuck you, leave me alone." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's how it goes."
I like.
No one cares
Dee
that you're
Wallace.
my mom's friend, type of thing.
I like Dee Wallace from like Critters and stuff, and
of course, who doesn't?
But I never really thought she was that great of an actress.
No, I would agree.
She's got some charm though, so that's charisma and charm, and now she's recognizable. So I get taking the money and decent amount of money probably just to get a name in there because people will see.
Yeah, it's almost a must.
So it's almost a must.
You probably lost 10-15 grand right there. You're like, okay, we got this person.
Yeah,
for 3 days.
For a day or two, right? So I don't know.
There's a part where they're like all just outside, just like like standing, and that reminded me of like in The Faculty when there's like out in the rain, just like standing there, or even during like the sequence with the dream when he's like up in his room and he looks out the window and all the teachers are out there. Who's after you? The faculty, like whatever, like. But like that, where I'm like, okay, they can come in force. They don't have to gaslight. They could just burst the door down and force it down and take it. So I just think there's too much of a mix. The between gaslights and dreams, I'm like, I don't need that in my life.
See, I think you are searching for the more ambitious nature of this storyline insofar as, well, these bugs can spread so easily they take over the entire town. When the movie wants you to focus on this interplay dynamics of this small family.
But if you want to do that, you have to make it a slower thing. Like you can't take over things quickly. You can't show that it can just go in 1 minute. It should go into the body, like it goes through the mouth, and you wake up and you don't know what happened, and you're like freaking out. You're like, there's blood around my mouth. What the hell? What is this? And slowly your behavior starts to change, and you even notice your behavior is changing. You're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I slapped you. Why did I do that?
Exactly.
Oh no. And then like you're like, okay, you're not the man I married. Who are you? What's happening?
Yeah.
Like it's not a gaslight that like shows you like, oh, I'm tricking you and making you think nothing is happening. It's I don't even know things are happening, and it's very weird. Like, what do you mean? I didn't do that. I wouldn't do that. But you did that, but you didn't do that. The puppeteered bug did that.
Yeah.
And the bug looks a little bit too normal. The bug looks a little bit too much like something you would see in like South America or Africa or Australia or something. Like,
they had a moment where there was a legit bug. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, that's why I think that I would have gone with a little more like, like something alien in nature. Because it just, if you're going to do this thing, and or the opposite, or you go with something that's like, oh no, this is like the Jamaican walking bug, and you could have 50 of them, and there's in the shot. Like, I'd swing one way or the other, because if you want to just avoid your CG budget, you do something like that. But we clearly had some CG stuff happening.
Yeah, like I could go back and forth with ideas of how I would change this story. I don't know I mean, that doesn't help at all. But
It's just fun to do.
It is fun to do, but this is another one of those ones where it's like, I don't know, maybe it would have been better off being a little more schlocky than a little more serious.
I will always lean that way. I think the schlock is always the way to go. It's always more fun to have some deaths and on-screen things, like one-liners, things you could laugh at, things for a group, because there's too much serious things coming out recently.
And when you're making a movie that's deadly serious, you are going to be taking everything else more serious. So the sound quality in this movie would be fine in a schlockier movie, but there's moments where, like, I don't know, it just fucking switches to the left channel and nothing on the right. And, like, it's just amateur stuff like that. And it kind of takes you out of a movie that's deadly serious like this. So, I don't know.
I would say, like, it was fun enough that, like, there's concepts that let my mind go, and that's, like, something I usually look for in a movie. Like, because when a movie ends and you just go, all right, and you're done, and you don't have any way, oh, it'd be fun if they did this, or, oh, I wonder what happened in that world. You did that. Like, those are things that, like, I enjoy. Can it give me a concept? Does it paint a world that makes me interested? And I think it does do that. I think I would have gone in a different direction. I think it's a little long. I would cut some fat out of this. Like, I think this could be, like, because what was it, like an hour and a half? I think this would be, like, a tight, like, hour 12.
Yeah. I think it was.
And I would have filmed
like an
a
hour
couple.
and 45.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
I would have cut a lot of stuff, and I would have added just a couple of scenes of showing you exactly, like, this person got turned there, explain a little bit after the daughter gets her first interaction, and maybe end with like a bumper scene showing the first family and like what maybe the life cycle is, like, and now they're all dead or something like this. Like, it's really quick. They can only survive for a month or like something. To paint this world, let me see what, like, a sequel could be, because at the moment I don't really have an interest in a sequel.
Well, I thought for a moment that the mom was going to actively make a choice and decide in some way, like, oh, the daughter was going to die otherwise and she had to become the queen or something, and make that choice. The fact that she doesn't make a choice or anything at the end, I don't know, hurts it for me. Like, it's just, so.
Her just eating that sugar, I was like, oh, I think they're lucky they had a 2-cam set up, because I don't think she could have eaten much more of that sugar.
God, that hurt my teeth just looking at it. Yeah. The Nest.
The Nest.
Good luck
indeed.
finding it. Or just search The Nest 2021. Otherwise, you might have trouble finding it.
For sure. Maybe we'll get a re-release with a different name.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, so that's our thoughts on that. Chris, where can the people find you?
Bad Movie Night. Find me on YouTube, and Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff.
There it is. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Until next time, don't down a fire, and we'll see you then.
So I go back, and it's like we never left. So you love and know. It's credible video. So I go back, and it's like we never